My name is Gloria, 56 years old, a single mother who fought through life's toughest battles. My daughter Sophia, 28, was the first in our family to graduate college. I should have been proud when she found love, but instead discovered her wedding through Facebook. When I called to ask about the wedding, my daughter said, "We already got married, Mum. Only people who matter were invited. Just send the beach house keys." I smiled. 3 days later, my gift made her understand the true value of family. Let me know where you're watching from today. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you've ever felt betrayed by someone you sacrificed everything for, this story might heal something inside you. Let's begin. I still remember that cool autumn morning 16 years ago when I stood at Thomas's grave holding 8-year-old Sophia's small hand in mine. The cancer took him so quickly, leaving me alone to raise our daughter and somehow keep our little world from falling apart. Back then, Sophia would cling to me at night, her little body shaking with grief. "Will we be okay, Mommy?" she'd ask through tears. I'd stroke her hair and promise her that we would, even though I had no idea how I'd make it happen. After Thomas died, I took on 2 jobs to keep us afloat. During the day, I worked at the local library shelving books and helping patrons. At night, I'd sew alterations for a small tailoring shop that let me bring the work home. Many nights, Sophia would fall asleep on our living room couch while I hunched over my sewing machine until 2 in the morning, my eyes burning from exhaustion. But I never complained, not once. This was what love looked like. Sacrifice without resentment. The life insurance money from Thomas wasn't much, but I was determined to make it count. While other widows might have used it for immediate needs, I saved every penny. For 5 years, I put aside that money, along with whatever extra I could scrape together from my paychecks. Sometimes that meant skipping meals or wearing shoes with holes in them. But I had a dream, a small beach house that would belong to us forever. I'll never forget Sophia's face the day we drove up to that little weathered cottage in Cape Cod. She was 13 then, all gangly limbs and braces. "Is this really ours, Mom, like forever?" she asked, her eyes wide with disbelief. It wasn't much, just a modest 2-bedroom with faded blue siding and creaky floors. But it was ours. I had bought it at a foreclosure auction, and despite its flaws, that beach house represented everything I had worked for. "Yes, baby," I told her. "This is our forever place. Someday it will be yours." Those summer weeks at the beach house became our sanctuary. We'd wake up with the sunrise and spend hours combing the shoreline for seashells. Sophia would collect the broken ones, insisting they were still beautiful despite their imperfections. In the evenings, we'd sit on our small porch swing eating ice cream and making up stories about the people walking by. Simple joys, but they were everything to us. I taught Sophia about family values on that porch. I'd tell her stories about her father, about our ancestors who came to America with nothing but hope and determination. "Never forget where you come from," I'd say. "Our history might not be fancy, but it's built on honesty and hard work. That's something money can't buy." She would nod solemnly, seeming to absorb every word. When she was 15, she even wrote a school essay about me being her hero. I still keep that paper in my nightstand drawer, though the ink has faded and the corners are worn from my fingers tracing them over the years. As Sophia grew older and entered high school, I noticed small changes. She became more conscious of our modest means, especially when she made friends with girls whose families had more. But I understood. Adolescence is hard, and everyone wants to fit in. I worked extra shifts to buy her the right clothes and made sure she could attend the school trips I couldn't have afforded otherwise. Still, we remained close, or so I thought. The real shift happened when Sophia went to college. I had saved for years to help with her tuition, taking out loans to cover what my savings couldn't. She was the first in our family to attend university, and I burst with pride watching her walk across campus on move-in day. "Make us proud," I whispered as I hugged her goodbye. "But more importantly, make yourself proud." It was during her junior year that Sophia met Justin Harrington. She called me late one night, her voice vibrating with excitement. "Mum, I met someone. His family owns a chain of luxury hotels. Can you believe he's interested in me? The wonder in her voice made my heart twist, as if she couldn't fathom being worthy of someone from wealth. I remember saying, "Of course he's interested in you, honey. You're smart, beautiful, and have a heart of gold. Any young man would be lucky to have you." But something in her tone worried me, a subtle shift I couldn't quite name. Justin was handsome and polished in the photos she sent, old money written in his confident smile and tailored clothes. When Sophia came home for Christmas that year, she talked endlessly about Justin's family estate, their summer home in the Hamptons, the private jet they used for quick getaways. Her eyes would sparkle when she described their world, and I began to notice she spoke less and less about her studies or her old friends. "They invited me to spend spring break at their chalet in Aspen," she announced over our modest holiday dinner. "Justin says I need to learn to ski if I'm going to fit into their social circle." I nodded and smiled, but something cold settled in my stomach. "That sounds wonderful, sweetheart. But don't forget you don't need to change to fit into anyone's circle. The right people will love you just as you are." She rolled her eyes with the casual dismissiveness of youth. "It's not about changing, Mom. It's about growing, evolving. Justin's family can open doors for me you can't even imagine." I let the comment slide, telling myself she didn't mean it the way it sounded. After all, what parent doesn't want more opportunities for their child than they had themselves? But as I watched her pack her bags to return to school, I noticed she left behind the handmade quilt I'd sewn for her dorm room. When I asked about it, she shrugged. "It doesn't really match my new bedding," she said. "Justin's mum helped me redecorate with some designer stuff." That night after Sophia left, I sat alone on our couch holding that quilt. I had made it from scraps of her childhood clothes, staying up countless nights to finish it before she left for college. Now it sat forgotten in her closet, replaced by something with a designer label. I told myself not to read too much into it. Children grow up, they change, they build their own lives. But deep down, a quiet voice whispered that I was losing her. Not to adulthood or independence, but to something far more insidious. Still, I clung to hope that the values I had taught her would eventually resurface, that the kind-hearted girl who collected broken seashells would return to me when this infatuation with wealth and status faded. I couldn't have known then how wrong I was or how completely Sophia would transform in the coming years. The distance between us wasn't just the miles between home and her college campus. It was a growing chasm of values, priorities, and ultimately of truth itself. And it would take a betrayal I couldn't yet imagine to show me how far my daughter had strayed from the person I raised her to be. The first time I noticed Sophia truly changing was during Thanksgiving break, her senior year of college. She had always come home for holidays, bringing her laundry and her appetite for home cooking. But that November, she called just 3 days before the holiday. "Mum, I won't make it for Thanksgiving this year," she said, her voice casual, as if cancelling coffee plans rather than a family tradition. "Justin's parents invited me to their place in the Berkshires. It's important I go. His grandmother from Europe will be there, and Justin says it's crucial she approves of me." I stood in my kitchen, the phone pressed to my ear, staring at the turkey I'd already bought and the ingredients for her favourite pumpkin pie. "I understand," I said, though I didn't. "Will I see you for Christmas at least?" A pause. "Maybe for a day or two. The Harringtons have this amazing New Year's gala at their country club, and Justin says it's the social event of the season." After we hung up, I put away the extra groceries and adjusted my recipes for one person. I told myself this was normal. Children grow up, form new attachments, create new traditions. But something about the way she dismissed our plans felt different from normal growing pains. My Sophia had never been dismissive before. When Christmas came, Sophia swept in for exactly 24 hours, arriving with shopping bags from stores I couldn't afford to browse in, and leaving before we could even have our traditional Christmas morning breakfast. She brought Justin with her, the first and only time he would set foot in our modest home. I had cleaned for days before their arrival, even splurging on new guest towels and sheets. Justin was tall and conventionally handsome, with that particular confident posture that comes from never having to doubt your place in the world. He shook my hand firmly, called me Mrs. Morgan, despite my insistence on Gloria, and surveyed our living room with the polite smile of someone determined not to show their disappointment. "Your home is very cozy," he said, in a tone that made it clear cozy was a euphemism for small and outdated. Sophia watched him with anxious eyes, as if his approval of her childhood home would determine her worth. I saw her wince when he noticed a water stain on our ceiling, and again when our elderly refrigerator made its familiar groaning sound. That evening, I served the special roast I'd prepared, using a recipe passed down from my grandmother. Justin took 2 bites before setting down his fork. "I usually avoid red meat," he said. "The Harringtons have a family physician who's put us all on a special Mediterranean diet. Health is wealth, as my father says." Sophia immediately pushed away her plate too. "I should have told you, Mum. Justin and I are really careful about what we eat now." I smiled and offered to make something else, but the damage was done. My special meal, prepared with love and anticipation, sat mostly untouched. Later, I overheard Sophia in the kitchen calling in a delivery order from an expensive organic restaurant in town. She didn't invite me to share it. The real eye-opener came 2 months later, when Sophia invited me to meet Justin's parents at an upscale restaurant in Boston. I wore my best dress, a navy blue number I'd bought on sale 3 years earlier, and even splurged on having my hair styled at a salon. I wanted to make a good impression to show them I had raised a daughter worthy of their son. The restaurant was intimidating, the kind with no prices on the women's menus, and more forks than I knew what to do with. Justin's parents, Harold and Amanda Harrington, were waiting at the table when we arrived. Harold, a silver-haired man with cold blue eyes, barely looked up from his phone when we were introduced. Amanda, perfectly coiffed and dripping in subtle diamonds, gave me a once-over that made me feel like a specimen under a microscope. "So," Amanda said, after we'd ordered, "Sophia tells us you work at a library. How quaint. I always tell our foundation board we should donate more to literacy programs, so important for certain communities." The way she emphasized certain communities made it clear she saw me as a charity case rather than the mother of her son's girlfriend. "Mum's been at the library for 15 years, Sophia interjected quickly. "But she also does alterations for extra money." I noticed how she phrased it. Not "Mum's an expert seamstress," or "Mum has 2 jobs because she's hard-working." Instead, the emphasis was on extra money, as if to highlight our financial differences. Throughout dinner, Amanda asked pointed questions about my background, each one designed to emphasize the gulf between our families. Where had I gone to college? Community college night classes while working full-time. Had I ever traveled to Europe? No, raising Sophia alone hadn't left time or money for international travel. Did I belong to any clubs or committees? Just the PTA when Sophia was in school. With each answer, I saw Sophia shrink a little in her chair, as if my ordinary life was somehow shameful. When the conversation turned to summer plans, Justin mentioned their family's annual trip to the south of France. "You should join us this year, Sophia," Amanda offered, not bothering to include me in the invitation. "That would be amazing," Sophia gushed. Then, almost as an afterthought, she added, "My mum has a little beach house on Cape Cod. Nothing fancy, but it's right on the water." Amanda raised a perfectly arched eyebrow. "How lovely. A family vacation property is so important. Ours in Nantucket has been in the family for generations. Though we rarely use it now, it's just too small at only 8 bedrooms." I watched my daughter's face fall slightly, and something protective roared inside me. "Our beach house may be small," I said calmly, "but it's filled with love and memories. Sophia and I built sandcastles on that beach, watched meteor showers from the porch swing. You can't put a price tag on those kinds of experiences." A awkward silence fell over the table. Amanda sipped her wine with a tight smile. Justin looked embarrassed. And Sophia, my sweet Sophia, looked mortified that I had spoken up. Later in the restaurant parking lot, she pulled me aside. "Mum, why did you have to say that? You made it sound like we're some Hallmark movie family." "We are a family," I said, confused by her anger. "And those memories are real." I thought, "That's the problem," she interrupted. You don't think about how things sound to people like the Harringtons. They don't care about sandcastles and porch swings. They care about connections and status. And you care about those things too now? I asked quietly. She sighed like I was a child who couldn't grasp a simple concept. I care about my future mum. Justin can give me opportunities you couldn't even dream of. Why can't you be happy for me instead of making me look ordinary? That word, ordinary, cut deeper than she knew. Had I failed as a mother because I hadn't given her extraordinary things? Or had I failed because I hadn't taught her to see the extraordinary in our ordinary life? The final blow came 6 months later, when Sophia graduated from college. I had taken unpaid leave from work to attend buying a new outfit, and even a small pearl necklace for the occasion. When I arrived at her campus, excited to celebrate this milestone we'd both worked so hard for, she met me with obvious anxiety. "Mum, there's been a change of plans," she said, not quite meeting my eyes. "Justin's family is hosting a graduation dinner at Leblanc. It's very exclusive. They had to pull strings to get reservations." "That's fine, honey," I said, assuming I was included. "What time should I be ready?" Her face flushed. "The thing is, they only had room for a certain number of guests. Justin's extended family is coming, some family friends, business associates of his father." I waited, the realization slowly dawning. "And there's no room for me?" "It's not like that," she insisted. "It's just, you wouldn't know anyone there. You wouldn't enjoy it." "I'd know you," I said simply. "I'd be celebrating you." She looked at her expensive watch, a gift from Justin. "Look, we can have breakfast tomorrow before you drive back, okay? Just us." That night I sat alone in my hotel room scrolling through social media to see photos of my daughter's graduation dinner. There she was, radiant in a designer dress I'd never seen, seated between Justin and Amanda Harrington, laughing at something out of frame. She looked happy. She looked like she belonged in their world. And in that moment, I realized the most painful truth: my daughter was ashamed of me. The woman who had worked 2 jobs to give her every opportunity, who had gone without, so she could have more, who had built her entire life around ensuring Sophia's success. That woman was now an embarrassment to be hidden away. What I didn't know then was that this painful revelation was just the beginning. Sophia wasn't just distancing herself from me, she was actively erasing me from her narrative, and the truth would come to light in the most heartbreaking way imaginable. I remember exactly where I was when I discovered my daughter had gotten married without me. It was a Tuesday afternoon in April, and I was taking my lunch break at the library, scrolling through Facebook on my phone. A notification popped up. Harriet Wilson, an old friend whose daughter had gone to high school with Sophia, had tagged me in a comment. "Gloria, your Sophia looked absolutely stunning in her wedding photos. The Harrington estate made such a gorgeous backdrop." I stared at those words, certain I had misread them. Wedding photos. My fingers trembled as I clicked on Harriet's profile and then followed her comment to its source, a wedding announcement shared by a mutual acquaintance. And there it was in elegant script: Justin Edward Harrington and Sophia Elizabeth Morgan, united in marriage on Saturday, April 15th. 3 days ago. My daughter had gotten married 3 days ago, and I hadn't even known she was engaged. The photo showed Sophia in a magnificent white gown, with an elaborate train standing beside Justin in front of a flower-covered archway. Behind them stood a grand mansion with manicured gardens. Justin's parents stood proudly beside the couple, Harold in a tuxedo and Amanda in a champagne-coloured designer dress. There were at least 100 guests visible in the background, all raising champagne flutes in celebration. I must have made some sound, because my co-worker Diane hurried over from the circulation desk. "Gloria, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost." I couldn't speak. I just handed her my phone, watching as her expression shifted from concern to shock. "Oh, Gloria," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." I called in sick for the rest of the day and drove home in a daze. Once there, I sat on my couch, staring at my phone, gathering the courage to call my daughter. When I finally did, it went straight to voicemail 3 times. On the fourth attempt, she picked up. "Mum, this isn't a great time. We're about to go to dinner with Justin's business associates." Her casual tone, as if nothing was amiss, nearly broke me. I took a deep breath. "Sophia," I said, my voice remarkably steady, "I just saw photos of your wedding on Facebook." A long pause. "Oh, that. Yes, that. Your wedding. The most important day of your life, and I wasn't there. I didn't even know you were engaged." Another pause. When she spoke again, her voice was different. Cooler, more distant. "We decided to keep it small, Mum. Just immediate family and close friends." "I am your immediate family," I said, a crack finally appearing in my composure. "I'm your mother, your only living parent." "You know what I mean," she replied dismissively. "Justin's family has a certain social standing. The wedding had to reflect that. It was at their estate, very exclusive. We already got married, Mum. Only people who matter were invited." People who matter. The words hung in the air between us. "I see," I managed to say, though my heart was splintering. "And I don't matter." "That's not what I meant," she said, but offered no alternative explanation. Then, abruptly changing the subject, she added, "Actually, since I have you on the phone, Justin and I are planning our honeymoon for next month. We want to use the beach house. Just send the keys to my new address, okay?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. No apology, no explanation, just a demand for the keys to the house I had sacrificed everything to buy. The beach house. I repeated, feeling oddly disconnected from the conversation, as if I were floating above it. "Yes, Mum. We're thinking 2 weeks in May. It's not the Maldives like Justin's friends suggested, but I told him it's actually quite charming in its own rustic way. Plus, it's right on the water, so it's perfect for a private getaway." Something in her tone set off alarm bells. "Sophia, does Justin know the beach house belongs to me? To us?" She hesitated just a fraction too long. "Of course he does." "You're lying," I said quietly, the realization dawning. "What did you tell him about the house, about me?" "Mum, this isn't the time." "What did you tell him, Sophia?" I pressed, suddenly needing to know the full extent of her deception. She sighed heavily. "Look, Justin's family is very particular about backgrounds, about family connections. I may have told him that the beach house came from a great aunt on Dad's side, that she was quite well off and left it to me when she died." I felt like I'd been struck. A fictional rich aunt. And what about me? What story did you tell about your actual mother? The silence stretched so long I thought she might have hung up. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, she said, "I told them you died when I was young, that Dad raised me until he got sick, and then I went to live with his sister, the aunt who left me the beach house." The room seemed to tilt around me. My own child had erased me from her life story, had told her new husband and in-laws that I was dead. "How could you?" I whispered. "After everything I sacrificed for you." "You don't understand the pressure," she said defensively. "The Harringtons have expectations. They wouldn't understand someone like you. Someone like me. A working-class woman who had given everything for her child. And the wedding, was that their expectation too, that you wouldn't invite your own mother?" "It was easier this way," she said flatly. "I couldn't very well resurrect you for the wedding after telling them you were dead for 2 years." 2 years. She had been lying about me for 2 years. "So what am I supposed to be now?" I asked. "Your dead mother who miraculously appears when you want to use the beach house?" "Don't be dramatic, Mum," she sighed. "Just send the keys. No one needs to know. It's just for 2 weeks." I felt a strange calm settle over me. "No." "What?" "No," I repeated more firmly this time. "I will not send the keys to my house to a daughter who is ashamed of me, who lied about me being dead, who didn't even tell me she was getting married." Mom, be reasonable. I have been reasonable, Sophia. I've been understanding about the missed holidays, the cancelled visits, the way you look down on everything I worked so hard to give you. But this crosses a line I didn't even know existed. Her voice turned cold. Fine. Keep your keys. Keep your shabby little beach house. I guess this proves what Justin's mother said about working-class people. No sense of how to behave in society, no understanding of what really matters. The words stung, but I held firm. What matters, Sophia, is honesty, loyalty, love, not mansions or designer clothes or social standing. If you've forgotten that, then I have failed as a mother in ways I never imagined possible. Whatever, she snapped. I have to go. Justin's waiting. After she hung up, I sat in my living room until night fell, surrounded by photos of the daughter I had raised, a daughter who now claimed I was dead. Each picture showed a smiling child, a happy teenager, moments I had treasured as evidence of a job well done. How had that girl transformed into a woman who could dismiss me so completely? But even in my devastation, I never imagined that Sophia would take things further. I never dreamed she would actually try to take the beach house by force. Yet the worst betrayal was still to come, and it would force me to make the hardest decision of my life. The confrontation came 3 weeks after the wedding phone call. I was at the beach house that weekend, seeking solace in the place that held our happiest family memories. The weather was turning warm, and I had spent the morning planting geraniums in the window boxes, just as Sophia and I used to do together each spring. My hands were still dirty with soil when I heard a car pull into the gravel driveway. I looked up to see a sleek black Mercedes coming to a stop. Sophia stepped out from the passenger side wearing oversized sunglasses and a cream-colored pantsuit that probably cost more than 3 months of my salary. But what made my heart truly sink was seeing who emerged from the driver's side. Amanda Harrington, Justin's mother. Her lips pursed in obvious disapproval as she surveyed my little blue cottage. "Mom," Sophia called, not bothering with a greeting. "We need to talk." I wiped my hands on my gardening apron and walked over. "Hello, Sophia. Mrs. Harrington. This is a surprise." Amanda barely nodded in acknowledgement, instead turning to murmur something to Sophia. I caught the words "quaint" and "needs updating" before they approached. "Let's go inside," Sophia said, already moving toward the door as if she owned the place. In a way, I supposed she thought she did. My cottage was clean but modest. Mismatched furniture collected over years, handmade quilts, shelves lined with paperbacks and seashells Sophia had collected as a child. I saw Amanda take it all in with a slight curl of her lip. "Coffee," I offered, trying to maintain some semblance of normal hospitality. "No, thank you," Amanda replied coldly. "We won't be staying long." Sophia dropped her designer handbag onto my couch and got straight to the point. "Mum, this is ridiculous. We just need the house for 2 weeks in May. I don't understand why you're being so difficult." I looked between them, suddenly understanding. "You brought Justin's mother to pressure me." "Mrs. Morgan," Amanda interjected, emphasizing my married title as if it was something distasteful. "Sophia has explained your situation to me. While I'm certainly surprised to find you alive and well after being led to believe otherwise, I'm willing to overlook this unfortunate deception in the interest of family harmony." "My situation," I repeated incredulously. "And what situation would that be, Mrs. Harrington?" Amanda glanced at Sophia before continuing. "Your financial circumstances, your attachment to this property. Sophia tells me you've refused to allow the newlyweds to use the house for their honeymoon, which seems rather petty, don't you think?" "Petty?" I echoed, feeling a strange, calm anger building inside me. "Is that what you call it when a mother expects basic respect and honesty from her child?" "Mum," Sophia cut in impatiently. "Just give us the keys. It's only for 2 weeks." I turned to face my daughter directly. "Sophia, does Mrs. Harrington know the truth about this house, about our family?" Sophia's face flushed. "She knows what she needs to know." "Which is what exactly?" I pressed. That I'm your mother. That I worked 2 jobs to put you through college. That I saved for years to buy this shabby little beach house so that we would always have a place of our own. Amanda looked between us, confusion creasing her perfect forehead. Sophia told us the house was left to her by her aunt, her father's sister. I laughed without humour. There is no aunt. There never was. Sophia made her up just like she made up the story about me being dead. That's not true, Sophia said quickly, shooting me a warning glare. Mom's confused. She's been unwell lately. Dementia runs in her side of the family. The casual cruelty of that lie struck me like a physical blow. Dementia really, Sophia? That's your explanation? Amanda was watching us carefully now, her cold eyes calculating. Perhaps I should step outside and let you two sort this out privately. No need, I said firmly. In fact, I think it's important that you hear the truth, Mrs. Harrington. This house belongs to me. I purchased it with insurance money after my husband, Sophia's father, died of cancer when she was 8 years old. I raised Sophia alone, working at the library and doing alterations at night to make ends meet. We were never wealthy, but we were honest and hard-working. At least I thought I had raised an honest daughter. Sophia's face had gone pale. Mum, stop it. No, Sophia, I won't stop. I won't be erased from your life because you're ashamed of where you come from. I turned back to Amanda. Mrs. Harrington, I don't know what else my daughter has told you about her background, but I suspect very little of it is true. The truth is simple. I'm a working-class woman who sacrificed everything for my child, only to have her pretend I'm dead because I don't fit into her new narrative. Amanda's expression was unreadable. After a long moment, she turned to Sophia. Is this true? Have you been lying to us about your background, about your mother? Sophia looked trapped. She glanced between us, apparently calculating which lie would do the least damage. Finally, she made her choice. Of course not, she said smoothly. This woman worked for my family for years. She was our housekeeper. After my real mother died, she became obsessed with me. She's convinced herself she's my mother. It's very sad, really. The dementia has made it worse. I felt as if all the air had been sucked from the room. I had expected denial, even anger, but not this. Not my daughter looking me in the eye and claiming I was her former housekeeper with delusions. Sophia, I whispered, how can you say that? Amanda was studying me with new interest, like a scientist observing a particularly unusual specimen. That would explain the lack of refinement, she said thoughtfully. Though it's concerning that she's developed such elaborate fantasies. They're not fantasies, I said, finding my voice again. I have Sophia's birth certificate, photos of her growing up, school records listing me as her mother. I can prove who I am. Documents can be altered, Sophia said dismissively. She was always good with that sort of thing, part of her obsession. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My own daughter, the child I had raised alone, was standing in my home calling me a delusional imposter. It felt like a nightmare I couldn't wake from. Amanda placed a manicured hand on Sophia's arm. Darling, perhaps we should contact the authorities. If she's truly unstable, that won't be necessary. I interrupted, something hardening inside me. I want both of you to leave my house, now. It's not your house, Sophia snapped, her facade cracking slightly. It should be mine. After all I've done to improve myself to rise above where I came from, I deserve this at least. Justin and I need a proper honeymoon, and you're being selfish. Selfish? I repeated the word, striking me as absurdly inadequate for what was happening. Selfish is pretending your mother is dead because you're ashamed of her social status. Selfish is bringing your mother-in-law to intimidate me in my own home. Selfish is standing in front of the woman who gave up everything for you and calling her a delusional housekeeper. Amanda cleared her throat. Regardless of whoever you may be, the fact remains that Sophia needs access to this property. The Harringtons have certain expectations about suitable honeymoon accommodations. Then the Harringtons can provide those accommodations, I said firmly. This house is not available. Sophia's expression darkened. You know, Mum, or should I stop calling you that since you're being so difficult? You really don't want to make an enemy of me. Justin's cousin is a lawyer, a really good one. I'm sure he could find some legal way to challenge your ownership of this place. Are you threatening me? I asked, genuinely astonished. You would try to take my home through legal manipulation. I'm just saying, Sophia replied with a shrug. People like you don't usually win against people like us. The house should be mine anyway. You're getting older. You can't maintain it. It would make sense to sign it over to me now. In that moment, looking at my daughter's cold, calculating expression, I realized I was seeing her true self for the first time. The sweet child I had raised was gone, replaced by someone I didn't recognize, someone willing to deny my very existence to maintain her social climbing. Get out, I said quietly. Both of you. Get out of my house. This isn't over, Sophia warned as Amanda tugged her toward the door. You'll regret this. After they left, I sank onto my porch swing, the same swing where I had once held a young Sophia on summer evenings, teaching her about kindness and integrity. The geraniums I had planted that morning suddenly seemed meaningless, my efforts to maintain our family traditions now a hollow exercise in denial. What had happened to my daughter? How had love of status and material wealth corrupted her so completely? And more importantly, what was I going to do now that she had threatened legal action to take my home? As the sun set over the ocean, I made a decision. If Sophia wanted war, she would have it. But it wouldn't be fought with lawyers and legal threats. It would be fought with truth, the one weapon my daughter seemed to fear above all else. The weeks following Sophia and Amanda's visit were the darkest of my life since losing Thomas. I fell into a depression that made even simple tasks feel monumental. Getting out of bed each morning required a negotiation with myself, and many days I lost that battle, calling in sick to the library more times in a month than I had in the previous decade. The betrayal cut deeper than I could have imagined. It wasn't just that Sophia had lied about me or excluded me from her wedding. It was the casual cruelty with which she had dismissed our entire relationship, erasing years of sacrifice and love as if they meant nothing. As if I meant nothing. Then the letter arrived. Official letterhead, a law firm I'd never heard of, Blackwell, Harrington and Associates. My hands trembled as I opened it, already guessing what I would find inside. Dear Mrs. Morgan, it began formally. This letter serves as official notice that our client, Sophia Harrington née Morgan, is pursuing legal action regarding the property at 247 Ocean View Drive, Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Our client asserts beneficial ownership based on verbal promises and established understanding that said property would transfer to her possession upon her marriage. The letter continued with legal jargon I barely understood, but the threat was clear. Sophia was actually suing me for my beach house. She had found a lawyer, likely Justin's cousin as threatened, who was willing to twist the truth into some semblance of a legal claim. I called Diane from the library in tears. She's trying to take my house, I sobbed into the phone. My own daughter is trying to take the only valuable thing I own. Come over, Diane insisted. Right now. Don't sit alone with this. That evening, sitting at Diane's kitchen table with a cup of tea going cold in front of me, I felt utterly lost. What am I going to do? I can't afford an expensive lawyer. If this goes to court... You need to fight back, Diane said firmly. Not just for the house, but for yourself. What Sophia's doing is wrong, Gloria. Deeply wrong. But she's my daughter, I whispered. Despite everything, I still love her. Diane reached across the table and took my hand. I know you do. But loving her doesn't mean letting her destroy you. That girl needs a reality check before she loses her soul completely. I don't know how to fight this, I admitted. I don't have the resources or connections that the Harringtons do. Maybe you don't need them, Diane mused. Maybe what you need is the truth. The following day, another blow came from an unexpected direction. My neighbor Dorothy called, her voice unusually hesitant. Gloria, I don't know how to tell you this, she began. But Sophia was here yesterday talking to people in the neighborhood. Talking about what? I asked, though I already suspected the answer. Dorothy sighed heavily. About you, dear. She's telling people you're not well, that you've been having delusions claiming to be her mother when you were actually just the family housekeeper. She said you've become obsessed with her, that you're trying to insert yourself into her life by claiming ownership of the beach house. I felt physically ill. And people believe her. Some do, Dorothy admitted. The new families don't know you well. But those of us who've been here for years, who've seen you and Sophia together since she was a child, we know the truth. Why would she do this? I asked, more to myself than to Dorothy. Why go to such lengths to deny me? Some people will do anything to reinvent themselves, Dorothy said sadly. Even betray those who love them most. That night I couldn't sleep. I paced my small living room until dawn, wrestling with what to do. Part of me wanted to call Sophia to beg her to stop this madness, to remind her of who she really was and where she came from. But another part, a stronger part, knew that approach wouldn't work. The daughter who would listen to such pleas was gone. As morning light filtered through my curtains, I made a decision. I would fight, not just for my house, but for the truth, for my dignity, for everything I had worked for. I began by gathering evidence. From my attic, I brought down boxes of photographs. Sophia as a newborn in my arms, her first day of kindergarten beach days, at the cottage high school graduation. I found her birth certificate listing Thomas and me as her parents. I unearthed school records where I was clearly named as her mother, report cards I had signed, medical forms listing me as next of kin. But I knew documents might not be enough against whatever legal maneuvering the Harrington money could buy. I needed allies, people who knew the truth and were willing to stand by it. I started with my old friend Maria, who had gone to law school while raising 3 kids on her own. We had lost touch over the years as our lives took different paths, but she responded immediately to my call for help. "This is outrageous," she said after I explained the situation. "Legally, they don't have a leg to stand on, but that doesn't mean they can't make your life miserable with prolonged litigation. Rich people can afford to drag things out until you can't financially sustain the fight." "So what do I do?" I asked, defeated. "You get ahead of them," Maria said thoughtfully. "And I think I know how." Maria volunteered to look into Justin and his family, using her legal connections to access public records. What she found surprised even her. "The Harringtons aren't quite what they present themselves to be," she told me over coffee the following week. Harold Harrington was involved in a securities fraud case 10 years ago. It was settled quietly, but there are court records. And the family estate where Sophia's wedding was held, they don't own it. It's a rental property they use for events to maintain the appearance of old money. "So they're frauds too," I said quietly. "In a manner of speaking," Maria confirmed. "They have money, yes, but not the multi-generational wealth they pretend to have. They're new money trying desperately to appear established. And Justin has a record, drunk driving settled out of court. 2 ex-girlfriends filed restraining orders that were later dropped. There are rumors of payoffs." The information was disturbing, but it also made a strange kind of sense. Sophia had been seduced not by actual old money and class, but by the appearance of it, by people as desperate to reinvent themselves as she was. "I don't want to use this to hurt Sophia," I told Maria. "I just want my house and my dignity." "Sometimes those things aren't separable," Maria replied gently. "Sophia has made her choices. Now you need to make yours." Over the next week, with Maria's help, I formulated a plan. It wasn't about revenge. It was about truth. About forcing Sophia to confront the reality she had been running from. I called Sophia on a Tuesday morning, catching her off guard. "I've been thinking about our situation," I said calmly. "I'm willing to discuss the beach house." "You're finally being reasonable," she replied, her tone instantly suspicious. "What changed your mind?" "I realized you're right." I lied smoothly. "You are getting married, starting a new life. Maybe it is time I signed the house over to you." There was a pause then. "Well, good. Yes, That's the sensible thing to do. I just need to handle it in person, I continued. Legal documents, you understand. Could you and Justin come to the beach house this Saturday? I'll have the papers ready. This Saturday. She hesitated. I suppose we could. Around 11. Perfect, I said. And Sophia, I'm glad we're resolving this amicably. Family is so important, don't you think? After hanging up, I turned to Maria, who had been listening to the conversation. She's coming, I said. Now we prepare. The next few days were a flurry of activity. Maria helped me draft documents, not the property transfer Sophia expected, but something entirely different. I contacted people from our past, Sophia's teachers, old neighbours, my co-workers who had watched her grow up. I gathered more photos, videos, proof of our shared history, and I steeled myself for the confrontation to come. By the time Saturday arrived, I was exhausted but resolved. This would end today, one way or another. As I stood on my porch watching the now familiar black Mercedes pull into my driveway, I felt oddly calm. The time for tears had passed. Now was the time for truth. Sophia and Justin emerged from the car, both dressed as if for a business meeting rather than a visit to family. Sophia wore a tailored pantsuit and pearls, Amanda's influence clearly visible, while Justin looked uncomfortable in a blazer too warm for the spring weather. Mum, Sophia greeted me coolly as they approached. We're here for the papers. I smiled. Yes, of course. Please come inside. I have everything ready. They followed me into the living room where they stopped short. Instead of finding a simple property transfer waiting for signing, they found my living room transformed. The walls were covered with photographs, a timeline of Sophia's life from infancy through college. A projector was set up connected to my laptop. And sitting on my couch were 3 unexpected guests: Dorothy, my neighbour of 15 years, Mr. Peterson, Sophia's high school English teacher, and Maria, now in her capacity as my legal representative. What is this? Sophia demanded, her face flushing. Who are these people? Just a few witnesses to our family history, I said calmly. Before we discuss the beach house, I thought we should clarify a few facts. Justin looked between us, confusion evident on his face. Sophia, what's going on? I thought this was just a simple property transfer. It's nothing, Sophia said quickly. My mother is just being dramatic. Let's just sign the papers and go. There are no papers yet, I said. Not until we establish the truth. Justin, did you know that I'm actually Sophia's mother? Her biological mother who raised her from birth. Not a housekeeper with delusions, as she's been telling people. Justin's expression shifted from confusion to discomfort. Of course. Sophia mentioned there had been some confusion about her background, but she explained that you worked for her family and had developed an unhealthy attachment after her real mother died. Mr. Peterson stood up then. I taught Sophia Morgan for 4 years at Westlake High School. Gloria here attended every parent-teacher conference, every school play, every award ceremony. She was most certainly Sophia's mother, a devoted one at that. Sophia's face had gone pale. This is ridiculous. You can't possibly expect— And I've lived next door to Gloria for 15 years, Dorothy interrupted. I watched Sophia grow up coming to the beach house every summer with her mother, the only mother she's ever had. Justin was looking increasingly uncomfortable. Sophia, what's going on here? They're lying, Sophia insisted desperately. They're all in on it together. No one's lying except you, Sophia, I said softly. And I have proof. I clicked a button on my laptop, and the projector illuminated the wall with a video. Sophia, at 8 years old, sitting on this very couch being interviewed for a school project. My name is Sophia Morgan. Her young voice filled the room. I'm doing a project about my family. This is my mum, Gloria. My dad died when I was little, so it's just us now. Mum works 2 jobs so I can go to good schools and have nice things. When I grow up, I want to be brave like her. The young Sophia on screen turned to me behind the camera. Mum, what should I say next? Just speak from your heart, sweetie, my voice answered from off camera. Justin was staring at the screen, then at Sophia, whose face had drained of all colour. "There's more," I said quietly, advancing through photos, videos, school documents, an irrefutable record of our life together. 16 years of evidence that I am your mother, Sophia, that everything you've told the Harringtons is a lie. Justin turned to Sophia, his expression hardening. "You told me your mother died when you were young, that your father raised you until he got sick, and then you went to live with a wealthy aunt." "I can explain," Sophia began, but Justin cut her off. "Explain what?" "That you invented an entirely fictional background, that you've been lying to me, to my entire family, since the day we met." "Your family wouldn't have accepted me if they knew the truth," Sophia cried. "You know how your mother is about social standing, about proper backgrounds. So you just created a fake one," Justin demanded. "Did you think no one would ever find out?" As they argued, I watched with a strange detachment. This wasn't the confrontation I had imagined. I had expected anger from Sophia, denial, even threats. Instead, I was witnessing the collapse of her carefully constructed facade, the unraveling of the false narrative she had built her new life upon. Maria stood and handed Justin a folder. "You might also be interested in these public records regarding your family, Mr. Harrington. Court documents about your father's fraud case, reports about your own legal troubles. Interesting reading." Justin blanched as he flipped through the papers. "Where did you get these public records?" Maria replied calmly. "Just like the documentation of Gloria's legal ownership of this beach house, which has never been promised to anyone else. I've prepared a cease and desist letter regarding the fraudulent legal claims being made against my client. I suggest you take it to whoever is representing you in this matter." The room fell silent, except for the continuing slideshow of family photos projected on the wall. Birthdays, holidays, graduations, all featuring Sophia and me together. Evidence of a shared life that couldn't be denied. Finally, Sophia spoke, her voice small. "Why are you doing this to me? Why couldn't you just let me have the life I want?" "Because it's built on lies, Sophia," I answered gently. "And lies always collapse eventually. I'm not doing this to hurt you. I'm doing it because the truth matters, because I matter, because our history together matters, even if it doesn't include mansions and trust funds." Justin gathered the papers Maria had given him and headed for the door. "I need some air. I need to think." After he left, Sophia turned to me, tears finally breaking through her composed facade. "You've ruined everything. He'll tell his parents and they'll never accept me now." "If they can't accept the truth about where you come from, then perhaps they're not the family you thought they were," I said softly. Dorothy and Mr. Peterson discreetly excused themselves, sensing the need for privacy. Maria squeezed my hand before following them out, leaving Sophia and me alone with the projected images of our shared past. "What happens now?" Sophia asked suddenly, looking very young and lost. I took a deep breath, ready to deliver the final part of my plan, the part that had kept me awake at night, wondering if I was doing the right thing. "Now," I said, "I give you my wedding gift." I remember the confusion on Sophia's face when I mentioned a wedding gift. After everything that had happened after her betrayal and lies, the last thing she expected was a gift from me. "Wedding gift," she repeated, her voice uncertain. "What are you talking about?" I walked to my desk and retrieved an envelope. "This is for you and Justin, though in light of today's revelations, I'm not sure if he'll want to accept it with you." She took the envelope cautiously, as if it might contain something dangerous. "Is this some kind of trick? More evidence of what a terrible daughter I am?" "No," I said softly. "It's a lesson, one I hope you'll learn from." Sophia opened the envelope and pulled out a document. As she read it, her expression shifted from suspicion to confusion, and finally to shock. "You're donating the beach house to a charity for single mothers." She looked up at me, bewilderment in her eyes. "Why would you do that?" "Because it's mine to give," I said simply. and because I realized something important during this ordeal. This house has become a symbol of everything wrong between us. Your greed, my attachment to the past, both of us clinging to a physical representation of what we think we deserve. I sat down on the couch, suddenly tired after the emotional confrontation. The papers aren't filed yet. They're dated for next week. I wanted you to see them first, to understand what I'm doing and why. But this house is all you have, Sophia said, and I caught a glimpse of the daughter I once knew, the one who understood sacrifice and value beyond monetary worth. No, I corrected her gently. This house is just a structure. What I have, what I've always had, is the knowledge that I raised you with love, that I gave you every opportunity I could, that I did my absolute best as your mother. No one can take that from me, not even you with your lies and denial. Sophia sank into a chair, the document still in her hands. I don't understand. If you're giving away the house, what do you get out of this? Freedom, I replied. Freedom from worrying about your attempts to take it from me. Freedom from maintaining a property that holds as many painful memories now as happy ones. And hopefully a chance to help other women who are struggling like I once did. The irony wasn't lost on me that in attempting to take my house, Sophia had actually liberated me from it. The cottage had been my anchor for years, financially, emotionally, symbolically. Now it had become a burden, a source of conflict, a reminder of broken trust. So that's it, Sophia asked, a hint of her earlier entitlement returning. You're punishing me by giving away what should have been mine. I shook my head sadly. This isn't punishment, Sophia. It's a consequence of your actions. You chose to deny me, to erase our history, to lie about who you are and where you come from. You chose to threaten legal action against your own mother to get what you wanted. Those choices led us here. Through the open window, I could see Justin pacing on the beach phone pressed to his ear, gesturing emphatically. I suspected he was talking to his parents, perhaps learning for the first time that the sophisticated, well-bred woman he had married was actually the daughter of a librarian and seamstress, a woman who had been so ashamed of her working-class background that she had invented an entirely fictional life story. What will I tell Justin? Sophia asked, following my gaze. What will I tell his family? The truth, I suggested. It's surprisingly freeing once you start. A tear slipped down Sophia's cheek, the first genuine emotion I'd seen from her in years. I never meant for it to go this far, she whispered. It started with small things, letting Justin assume my background was more privileged than it was not correcting his parents when they made assumptions. Then the lies got bigger, and I couldn't find a way back to the truth. There's always a way back to the truth, I said. It's just a matter of courage. We sat in silence for several minutes, the weight of years of deception and hurt between us. The slideshow had ended, leaving the wall blank, but the images of our shared life lingered in my mind. The good times and the bad, the love and the loss, the mother and daughter we had once been. I don't know if I can fix this, Sophia finally said, her voice small and uncertain. Neither do I admitted. Some broken things can't be repaired, but acknowledging the break is the first step. The front door opened, and Justin returned, his face set in hard lines. We need to go, he said to Sophia, not meeting my eyes. My parents are expecting us for dinner. Sophia looked between us, clearly torn. Justin, we need to talk about this. We certainly do, he agreed coldly. But not here. Not now. As they prepared to leave, Sophia hesitated at the door. Mum, she said, the words sounding strange after months of denial. What will you do now? Where will you live? I'll be fine, I assured her. The beach house sale will give me enough to buy a small condo closer to the library. Maybe I'll finally take that trip to Europe I've always dreamed about. Alone? She asked, and I heard the unspoken question beneath it. Would there be a place for her in my new life? For now, I said, neither promising reconciliation nor closing the door on it entirely. I need time, Sophia. Time to heal. Time to rediscover who I am outside of being your mother. You've had 2 years to build a new identity for yourself. Now it's my turn. After they left, I sat on my porch swing, watching the waves crash against the shore. For the first time in months, I felt a sense of peace. Not happiness, the wound was still too fresh for that, but a quiet certainty that I had done the right thing. Dorothy joined me later, bringing a bottle of wine and 2 glasses. "You okay?" she asked, settling beside me. "I think I will be," I said, accepting a glass. "It didn't go exactly as planned, but the truth is out. That's what matters." "And the house?" she asked, looking around at the cottage that had been my pride and joy for so many years. "Going to people who need it more than I do," I said firmly. "The Coastal Haven Foundation helps single mothers get back on their feet, housing assistance, job training, childcare. They'll use the property for their program or sell it to fund their services. Either way, it will help women like I once was." "You're a remarkable woman, Gloria Morgan," Dorothy said, raising her glass in a toast. "To new beginnings." "To truth," I added, clinking my glass against hers. 3 months later, I stood in my new condominium arranging books on the built-in shelves. It was a modest place, but bright and convenient walking distance to both the library and a small park where I had started taking morning walks. The walls were freshly painted in colours I had chosen, the furniture new and selected solely for my taste and comfort. For the first time in decades, I had created a space that was just for me. The beach house had sold quickly, the proceeds going partly to the foundation and partly to fund my simpler but fulfilling new life. I had kept only a few mementos from the cottage. Seashells. Sophia and I had collected a watercolour of the view from the porch, Thomas's old fishing hat that had hung on a peg by the door since his death. My phone rang as I was arranging the last shelf. Sophia's name appeared on the screen, a rare occurrence these days. Our communication had been sparse since the confrontation, limited to brief, cautious texts and one uncomfortable lunch. "Hello," I answered, keeping my tone neutral. "Mum." Sophia's voice sounded different, humbler, less polished. "I've been doing a lot of thinking. About everything. About us." "Oh." I settled onto my new couch, preparing myself for whatever might come. "Justin and I are separating," she said. "It's been coming for months, ever since, well, you know. His family never got past the lies. And honestly, neither did he." "I'm sorry," I said, and meant it. Despite everything, I never wanted Sophia to suffer. "Don't be," she replied with a surprising lightness. "It's for the best. I've been seeing a therapist, trying to understand why I was so desperate to escape who I really am, why I was so ashamed of you, of us, when you gave me nothing but love and support." I felt tears prick at my eyes. "And have you found any answers?" "Some," she admitted. "Enough to know I need to make amends, to be honest about who I am and where I come from. I've even started volunteering at a literacy program for underprivileged kids. It feels right, like something you would do." The compliment warmed something long cold inside me. "That's wonderful, Sophia. I was wondering," she continued, hesitation evident in her voice, "if I could come see your new place sometime. Maybe this weekend. I'd like to see how you're doing." I paused, considering. The hurt was still there, a dull ache beneath my breastbone. But alongside it was something else, a cautious hope, a willingness to see if anything could be salvaged from the wreckage of our relationship. "Sunday would work," I said finally. "Around noon I can make lunch." "I'd like that," she said, and I could hear the smile in her voice. "And Mum, thank you for the gift." "The condo?" I asked, confused. "You haven't even seen it yet." "No," she corrected gently. "For the lesson. For showing me that integrity matters more than appearance. For not giving up on me even when I gave up on you." After we hung up, I stood by my window looking out at my new neighborhood, different from the ocean view I'd loved for years, but with its own charm and possibilities. I didn't know if Sophia and I could rebuild what had been broken. Some betrayals cut too deep for complete healing, but perhaps we could construct something new, a relationship based on truth and acceptance rather than expectation and obligation. The beach house was gone, but its purpose had been fulfilled. It had sheltered us through difficult times, provided joy during precious summers, and ultimately taught both of us valuable lessons about what truly matters in life. Not possessions or social status or appearances, but honesty, integrity, and the courage to face the truth about ourselves. As I returned to my unpacking, I felt lighter than I had in years. The future stretched before me, uncertain, but full of possibility, mine to shape however I chose. For the first time since Sophia had betrayed me, I allowed myself to feel genuine optimism. Whatever came next, I would face it on my own terms, standing firmly in my truth, and that I realized was the most precious gift I had given myself. I hope my story resonated with you today. Has someone in your life ever made you feel like you weren't good enough because of your background or status? How did you handle it? Let me know in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, please like and subscribe to hear more real-life experiences. Remember, your worth isn't determined by your possessions or social status. It's built on truth, integrity, and the love you share with others. Thank you for listening, and I'll be back next week with another chapter from my life.